Okay, we'll call the budget work session to order. Mayor Hooks is out of town today, so I'll be mayoring again. So, and I just want to pass on my compliments to the administrative staff, the department heads, and all their staff members for the amount of effort that's gone into putting the budget request together. I know it's not just a matter of listing numbers and items, so we appreciate the hard work. So I'll turn it over to our city manager, Richard White, if he'll open up with the department heads.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and good afternoon, council members. This continuation of our budget workshop. We'll continue with our departmental presentations today, and we'll hear from Recreation and Parks, Public Works, Municipal Building Plumbing Improvements, Fire, Utilities Maintenance and Administration, and our Water Resources Facility. So we'll get started with our Recreation and Parks Director, Aaron Davis.
All right. Y'all hear me okay? Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council, city admin, thanks for the opportunity today. And a big thank you for allowing me to move my presentation a week. Thoroughly was able to enjoy the state championship on Saturday night. So that was a big moment for myself and my daughter and her school. So appreciate that very much. We will get started with our budget request for 25-26. See our organizational chart. This year I added our part-time farmers market coordinator, Lindsay Chinney, and part-time tennis coordinator, Dave McGee. I'll say that both of them put in a good amount of hours to those programs that would really be hard. It would be hard to keep them on the level that they're at without having those positions. So thank you for continuing to fund those positions. They're very beneficial, I think, to our citizens. And the farmers market has really taken a whole turn over the last couple of years with Lindsay's leadership. So some highlights from the last year. We've been working really hard to get some projects done. Of course, the Lake Michael connector, the Woodlawn entrance at the community park. Saw a nice social media post over the weekend about that, encouraging people to use that entrance. You know, I'm not going to touch on each of these items, but I do want to say that all of them have been extremely beneficial. Even going to the replacement of the nets at the community park and the way that we decided to change that and get rid of the chain link fence, which we were replacing every year. And fence costs keep going up. This new netting system that drops all the way down to the cement has seemed to be a great change. So we appreciate y'all's support with those projects. And of course, down at the bottom, the beginning of some really big projects as well. I wanted to split these two slides up and highlight some programs as well. As many of you know, the tree lighting ceremony came under Recreation and Parks this year. I've got Chris Clipping, our recreation superintendent, and Cy Ullman here, our park superintendent. But with Cy moving into his new position, we've had a lot of changes, especially on the recreation side, and we've onboarded all 4 of our supervisors and coordinators are new with the city within the last year. So that's been a big change for us and a really beneficial one at that. Of course, some contracts, the development of the SPICE subcommittee, recently development, and the Senior Connect program and many of the other senior programs that we've been able to offer. If you haven't watched the YouTube video that our PIO Kelly Hunter completed recently, I encourage you to do that. Shares a lot of the things that we're doing with the senior community in Mebane. We also, last thing I want to mention on this slide, we also just hosted 2 weeks of Shrek with the Alamance Children's Theater. And I know Chris is working really hard with Alamance Fine Arts to also do some further productions at the MAC. So we were really excited to host those. We found a lot of things that may need to be upgraded since the early 90s when a lot of those productions were taking place, but it's putting us in a good position to be able to host more events like that.
Aaron, I just wanted to interject real quick. Last week, I think, whenever the Shrek programming was going on, I was able to talk to one of the adult leaders of that program, and it was the day that they were doing the field trips in to come
Mhm.
see it. They were very complimentary of our staff, very complimentary of the facility, and frankly, a lot of them had said, "We didn't realize that there was a stage here and that it was as well designed as it is, and we may be, looking to you guys in the future." So good job.
Well, thank you for that. And like I said, there were things about the Mac that I learned that I didn't know, and it was really good to actually have some of their expertise in our building. They showed us a lot about some lighting and some of the soundboard and things like that. So we're primed, and hopefully we'll be adding some more productions at the Mac.
And it sounded like the Alamance Children's Theater, they're looking for another home, man, an additional home. How about that in Alamance County, right? I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, with the Paramount Theater in Burlington going under their renovations, they will be looking. I don't know how long or what the
Mhm.
extremes will be in terms of how long they may need to be somewhere else, but we're certainly open to it. Again, this was a first time endeavor for most of us. Chris could probably talk to you about it better than I could because he was really in the trenches with them. So we identified, where we do really well, and we identified some things that we would need to change to make it an even more cohesive experience.
If we could reach out to them afterwards, it sounds like they're going to be doing, forgive the term, postmortem. They're going to see what worked well, what didn't work well. So if we could circle back with them, that would be great. A big shout out to them, and they brought out a lot of people from across the county that, to echo what Katie was saying, that didn't know we had everything that we did here in Mebane. So also hint, hint, nudge, nudge to downtown businesses when these things occur. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you bet. So a couple goals. I say a couple. There's seems like a lot on the screen. Aligns with our happiness with the last year, but I'm sure a lot of you have been driving by Lake Michael and have seen the work that's being done. The photo you see right now is probably it's probably 2 or 3 weeks old, but there's been a lot more work done since then. So I encourage you to drive by and take a look. But we're really pleased with the progress, and we're happy to report that we are still on a fall completion of this year timeline. So that's good. One thing you'll see in our part-time salaries line is an increase there. One thing that we've been getting questions about from the citizens is why is the MAC not open more for drop-in play, open gym, things like that. And I've talked to my team about it, and we feel like we can offer those. We're just going to, need to have. Right now, we plan our fees around what we think we're going to have, and this would give us the opportunity to plan them based on, okay, we're going to be open most of the time. But we feel committed to more opportunities to serve the citizens at the MAC and not just be a rental facility.
I do want to echo too, as we're talking about, building another hopefully recreational facility in some capacity. I want to make sure we are maximizing what we have now.
Mhm.
And if that does mean expanding hours, that's a building that we've already built and paid for, right? So it's like, let's use that to the extent as we're, talking to the community about it.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, with adding the Senior Connect program in the community room, we are now experiencing that need. I would say, because a lot of the groups and the meetings that we've hosted in a lot of those meeting rooms, we have to be a little bit more careful on accepting those rentals or those meeting invites, because we want to make sure that, we started the Senior Connect program. We're going to continue that. So essentially, it shrinks us a little bit in the ability to offer. So again, this statement and this request from y'all is really, can we do more now because we are also doing more during the day? This will give us more opportunity at night.
When you updated or extended the hours for the Senior
Senior Connect.
did you see more participation?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, we just started this month, so I wouldn't say that our overall numbers have gone up, but I will say that we are seeing folks stay longer and coming in later.
Okay.
So instead of originally, we were 8 to 12. Now it's 9 to 4.
Okay.
And so we are seeing more friendly faces coming in, staying longer. They're doing multiple things in one day is a good way to say it. So we just had a young lady come in and finish a puzzle today, and she was elated about it. And she was leaving and said, "Did you get your puzzle done?" "Yes, I did." I was like, "All right." So it's going well.
Thank you.
So couple other ones to touch on real quick. I talked about the theater and performing arts, and really continue to value our recreation and parks master plan. I think that a lot of the concepts and future projects that we are all talking about are really aligning with what is in that document. So personnel requests for this next fiscal year, nothing full-time. However, we do feel the need to be equitable with the similar tennis program and start something with pickleball. So we would love to bring on a part-time pickleball coordinator. I don't know that we would be able to start in year one with the same offerings as we have for tennis. Just for your knowledge, with tennis, we have a men's night league, a women's night league. We have fitness tennis Saturday morning. We have 2 different junior clinics on Saturdays, and we have a quote unquote middle school team. And then we host men's, men's doubles, women's doubles, and mixed doubles tournaments over the course of the year. So I don't know that we could do all of that with pickleball in year one, but I think that it would be great. By the old rec tennis courts, anytime, pretty much any day, you'll see quite a few people out there playing pickleball. So I think bringing in something structured on certain nights would be really beneficial. I think the citizens are looking for that, some more tournaments, some more leagues. But I also want to be clear that we don't want to bog down those courts with all structure. I think that the open play is really important as well. So capital improvement project requests. We got 2 requests for next year. The completion of Kate's Farm Park playground. So the phase 2, that would include 5 more towers to complete the 9 total towers, more inclusive play, also more elements for those children that would be from 2 to 5 years old. As we started to get our rule signs ready for phase 1, our playground safety inspectors put on the rule sign 5 to 12-year-olds, because with the height and everything, that was what was appropriate based on standards. So we want to make sure that with phase 2, we include elements of play for the younger children and have those on the ground level. So that would be a great benefit to that park and for that playground and the expansion of Kate's Farm Park. And then, as you all know, just like pickleball, we've got no shortage of basketball players in Mebane, and that one court is used very heavily near the old rec. And I think a basketball court that would include lighting and be able to be used maybe a little bit earlier than the one we have now, maybe a little bit later than the one we have now would help thin out some of the play over at the old rec, and could be a big benefit in terms of the basketball crowd.
Where you
Also,
planning on putting it?
So the current plan would be at the Mebane Arts and Community Center, near the kind of down below on the left-hand side of the road, where close to where the cardboard dumpster is. There's some space down there. We had previously talked about that location a couple of years ago as well.
I'm so excited about this concept because of the Greenway connectivity now. I think that between that and then we're in soccer season, and I'm in that area a lot, and there are families everywhere in the evenings. And so maybe siblings that aren't on the soccer field can use that then, and it would see good use, good traffic.
Yeah, I think again, I encourage you all to swing by the MAC on a Tuesday night. And we've got baseball, softball, t-ball, soccer all taking place, and some Tuesdays and Fridays we have lacrosse. So again, another amenity within a park, that when brothers playing soccer or sisters playing soccer, and there's a youngster that's all in on basketball, they can head over and shoot some hoops. So I think it would be very cohesive with that area.
Mr. Mitchell, did you have something?
I was just going to thank you, Councilmember Ewan. I was going to add, for full disclosure, the location we are looking at for the basketball court, number 2 outside, there are a lot of sewer lines that run through that area. So most likely, if this potential court was approved in the budget, we would be coming back to request a variance. We would not want the sewer lines. We would not want the sewer lines to be underneath the basketball court. Looking at it from a staff level, obviously have to go through the process, but looking at the staff level, we feel like we can justify it because we own all the land around it. It would be a good variance in terms of both the current rules and past variance rules, but we did want to disclose that we would probably be asking for a variance on some setback issues to keep it from going over top of sewer lines. So.
Couple items. First off, thank you. Thank you for putting this in here. The first court has been phenomenal. We've had a few issues on the side, and I just want to say thank you to staff, thank you to the Rex and Park departments for everything that you're doing, and I'm grateful for that. I'm excited for this opportunity for a second court. Second one is parking over there at the MAC. Do you foresee any issues or anything along that line with this?
So, I feel very comfortable with the amount of parking we have at the MAC. Even on our big nights when we have all the things happening, there's still parking available. So I do feel very comfortable adding another element there.
Hopefully, knock on wood, possibly lights at this facility. Thank you.
Some smaller capital requests, not too many to speak on. As we were starting the work on the spillway and lowering the lake, we did some assessments on the pedal boats that we had out there that we've rented or had available for use to the citizens, and they were past their prime, to say the least, and it's definitely time for some new ones. So requesting to purchase, likely we would do this in the winter to lead up to the spring, hopefully when we're getting back open, but some new, more fancy, fun pedal boats for the families to enjoy. And then we've got a need to zoom around the trails a little bit and do some trail maintenance in a more efficient way, both at Kate's Farm and Lake Michael. So some type of ATV vehicle for us to be able to do maintenance on the trails, on the boardwalks, on the bridges, things like that. We get a lot of trees down, and sometimes we're just kicking that wood back into the forest, and maybe best for us to clear that completely. So just your requests there.
Where would you store it? You got a building over there?
Yeah, we think we have a storage building at Lake Michael, and we think that's probably where it would land. We've talked a little bit about a building at Kate's Farm, but I think we'll push that back a little bit. So, couple new fees and charges. I've got two slides. One's new fees, one's some changes. This would really provide the same fee structure for our tennis program. It would add in um, by the documents rights, the tennis, the fitness tennis and pickleball, but also the same structure for the pickleball nights. That would be the same as what we have for tennis, and then an annual indoor pickleball open play fee that would be only for non-residents. We want to keep it open for residents to be able to play for free, but we are getting a large influx of non-residents that come in, and sometimes they try to dominate the court usage. So we want to at least put something for those non-residents to pay if they're going to use our facilities. Fee changes. It has been before my time and much before that any fees changed at the MAC and the shelter fees. So shelter fees were for $25 for 4 hours. We're just looking to go to 40. And then that goes for every shelter that we have. Right now we only have 4 rentable shelters, 3 at Lake Michael, 1 at Holt Street. And sometimes we rent the gazebo at the 5th Street Park for some smaller, we've had a wedding out there and a couple other things. But and then just updating the MAC prices again. It's been quite a while since those have been updated. So just trying to get in line with some of the other local rec departments and rec centers, and there's no shortage of usage at the MAC. Somebody called me the other day and asked if they could get some availability on the weekends, and I said, actually, we have 1 date between now and 2026. So it is rented and used often. So in terms of some big jumps in our budget, obviously y'all approved the every 4-year Sports Hall of Fame, so we didn't have that included in last year's budget. You'll see a hike for the special activities and programs line, and most of that $36,000 in increases is due to the Senior Connect program and some partnerships that we've developed with the Mebane Women's Club and YMCA to help offer some of those programs. And then the Grand Mebane Lake Fund was being transferred from Public Works budget over to Recreation and Parks. Couple pictures from the last year. I think I'll sum up what we try to do every day, and that's really try to keep Mebane happy and healthy. We love to see the smiles on everybody's faces at our events and our programs and our parks, and I think we collectively provide a great service to the citizens, and I hope to keep expanding as we grow. And lastly, I just want to give a shout out to my team. I know both Cy and Chris are here today. They work really hard every day, put in a lot of hours. They deal with a lot of citizens. And so I wanted to say thank you to them and to those that work with them and with us. We're really happy where we're at, and we're happy to provide for the city. Any questions?
Any questions, Aaron? I got one on the basketball court, and well, I guess this goes to the gym play, open play on courts. How do we monitor that the same group's not taking the court every afternoon or every day, or?
At the outdoor courts, we don't. I would say that we have a good group of citizens that keep us in the know of what's going on, and I think that I'll give a shout out to some of our RPAC members, our Recreation Parks Advocacy Commission. I get a lot of text messages from them saying just went by here. This looks great. Heard this. You just need to know about it. So I get a lot of feedback from them. We get a lot of info emails through the city website. So I don't have any data to back my answer, but I think I know that we're not hearing that that is a problem. And we do have rule signs that do, the very first rule, I believe, is youth play first. Whether or not we are knowing that that's happening or not, it is something that we can reference if we get to that point where we need to make sure that that's happening.
Questions for him?
I was just gonna say thank you for all you guys do and your department in particular. I think you guys tend to be the face of city staff for a lot of our residents. And just was talking to somebody at soccer this weekend about you guys and how much they love our recreation department. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Smith, you ready to call him? Chuck?
Oh, there we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, Council again. I'm Chuck Smith. I'm the Public Works Director for Mebane. I'll go ahead and introduce Eduardo Mendoza. He's our Building Maintenance Coordinator. He'll actually be presenting the facilities portion of this presentation. There we go. So, excuse me. So Public Works is one department, but we actually are broken down to three different budgets. The Public Works budget, which is administration, beautification, street services, street maintenance, fleet services, public facilities, which is what Eduardo oversees, building maintenance coordination and sanitation. We have 27 full-time positions, 1 part-time, and 2 seasonal staff. So starting out, you look in that upper left corner, Renee Massey there is our administrative support specialist. She will be retiring at the end of April. She's been with Mebane about 4 years now, so this is going to be a sad moment. Yes, she has been very good for Public Works. She's been very good for Mebane, so we're going to miss her. Our fleet services division is comprised of Devin Gleiss. He's our supervisor, along with Jay and James. Street maintenance division is comprised of James Taylor. He's working with Larry and Joe, and we do have an open position there. So beautification division, Eric Mahon was our mowing supervisor. So what we did was upon retirement, if you remember Holly Clayton, I'm sure you do, upon her retirement from the beautification supervisor position, we combined the beautification and mowing divisions into one division. Eric was then promoted to supervisor over both of those divisions, of course, when we combined them. He works with our crew leader in that division, Christian Uris, and you see the rest of the crew there. They do a great job of keeping Mebane beautiful. So some of our highlights that are still ongoing, if you will. We have completed 1.6 miles of contracted street repair. This spring, we will start the Clay Street. You're well aware of the downtown improvements, Clay Street, 2nd to 5th, North 4th, Center to Clay Street. In addition to that, we'll do about another half a mile of street repairs. Mebane has about 69 miles of streets that we maintain, 72 miles of sidewalk. We also maintain 3 bridges and 5 traffic signal lights, and we are responsible for the maintenance of the new Mebane Greenway. continuing our highlights. Fleet Services maintains over, I think it's actually over, excuse me, 2,300 assets now. We just completed replacing our fuel dispensers at Public Works. Those fuel dispensers were actually from 1980. We did find out over a year ago that we can no longer find parts for that. So previous year was funded to make this replacement.
Any concerns under the ground?
No, so we
Tanks.
have above ground tanks that we monitor on a regular basis. So we're good with that. No, luckily no leaking, anything like that occurred. So we're good. We are going to start very soon phase 2 of the butterfly garden there on Corregidor, just across from Public Works. And as I mentioned, we combine the mowing and the beautification and mowing division into one division. So our beautification staff is responsible for maintaining the pocket parks listed there. And we are working on a pocket park there at the Farm Bureau with the recent purchase of that property at Clay and North 3rd. Our staff is responsible for pretty much most of the decorations you see throughout the city, especially the downtown area. Banners, large displays, snowflakes. We put up the Christmas tree in the Veterans Garden, make sure everything's ready to go for that event. We put out the flags at the Veterans Garden for various events that occur there.
That's been a huge hit with the veterans, and I really, really appreciate that. That's really made a remarkable highlight for when the whatever vets events are happening, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, things along that line.
Excellent.
How's the water feature doing over there at the park?
It's doing well. We're constantly, it needs a lot of maintenance, but that's expected with any kind of water feature, but we keep it going. We're actually having more issues with the fountain across the street from here. So we're going to be talking about that one probably in the coming years, but the one at the Veterans Garden is doing very nicely.
Thank you. On
Yes.
behalf of the veterans.
Yes. And the patriotic stars, you all are well aware of that story. It was old Christmas decorations that had all kinds of whatever on it. We cleaned them off and made them red, white, and blue for patriotic days, such as Veterans Day.
That was a pretty swell move. That looked nice. Yeah.
I give all the credit to my beautification guys. A couple of those guys put their heads together and said, you know, if we bought these new, they're going to be $300 a piece. So let's strip them down and rewire them and paint them up. And they did a great job.
We talked about, I think I mentioned to you moving our Christmas lights out 119 from Clay Street to pretty much where it turns there and straightens out.
Mm-hmm.
Have you considered that for the budget this year?
We are actually in discussion about that. I've got some flags that have been, I flagged some poles, utility poles out toward North First along Graham and Ruffin that we're looking at trying to extend some out that way. We do have a few extra Christmas lights that we can put along those poles. We're looking at that. If not, I'm going to take direction from city manager if we want to go ahead and try to purchase some this year in anticipation of that. So we are in discussion of that.
Well, I never really noticed till he brought to my attention that we do go out South Fifth, which actually goes into residential past business, but we do have business that go all the way to the turn there when you turn off what I call Graham.
Yeah.
On the 119 or North First again. But we do have businesses all along that stretch. So to be fair and consistent, that would be good.
Yeah. And we've got some prices that we're working on and costs associated with that. And of course, Duke Energy has to allow us to put those decorations on too, but they've been very good to work with in the past. So don't anticipate much problem there.
Thanks for looking into that.
Yeah. One project that we've been talking about for a while that we're finally getting underway is the cemetery surveying and marker placement. This is at Oakwood and Mebane Memorial. Help with Stephanie. We're actually opening up section C at Mebane Memorial, doing that surveying, putting those markers out. Oakwood, as you probably realize, is completely sold out. The issue with that is trying to find the sections, find the graves, that kind of thing. there were never any markers placed on the ground. So you can't walk out there and just intuitively know where to go and where to find your loved one. So these markers that are being placed in 4 sections right now will actually help folks in identifying those areas. And we're actually talking about putting some signs up out there as well to help visitors with that. So we should complete that project this spring. So replacement of an old dump truck with a brand new dump truck that will have a salt spreader and plow was originally supposed to be delivered to us no later than July of last year, then no later of October of last year, which we sorely needed over the winter with all the snow that we got on the ground, is now slated, Daphne is now slated for April. They will not give me an exact date. They just give me a month and I call and beg them, and somehow we keep getting bumped down the list. But he told me that it will be delivered in April. So we sorely need that truck. We did purchase a used, not a new, a used bucket truck to replace an old truck that we had there that was sorely needed. Our cemetery maintenance contract, it was well supported by council. We appreciate that. This is the first year for that contract. And if you've been to any of the 3 cemeteries that we maintain, you will notice a big difference already in the grass out there. And that does include a pest control, insect control at Oakwood, which we all know that was needed. Street maintenance, we increased in-house street and sidewalk repair. This was huge for the staff that we have of 4. We have less contractors now doing work. More of that work is being done in-house, which is great, which gives us a greater response time for any kind of hazards or whatever we may find along sidewalks in the street. So that was our street maintenance supervisor gets a lot of credit for that. This is something that we did in-house, the new Sharrows. That's a thermoplastic that we're putting down on North 5th Street. That was one of our pilot projects for that. So our department goals, we're always managing growth, maintaining a high level of service for our citizens. We maintain that small town kind of appeal. We get a lot of folks that call us up and remember when Mebane was a town of 4,000 and they still want that level of service. So we try to provide that. We'll continue to replace and add vehicles with a growing city and staff. We work well with Franz and Ashley in design and construction of new sidewalk projects. We're actually working with Franz, and Kyle and I are working with Franz for the future expansion of public works and public utilities. You heard that presentation by Franz a couple weeks back. And we're always trying to keep Mebane beautiful. We even named a division for that. So that's a forefront on our minds.
Do we do the bypass from the old North 5th all the way to Mebane Rogers? Do we cover all the maintenance, yard mowing and stuff on that?
So we have a vegetative maintenance contract for 119 from the 40 interchange up to 70. So we stop right at Highway 70. So we're mowing, we consider ourselves a supplemental mowing to what DOT mows. So they still mow it, but our crew, our contractor comes in and cleans up all the trash, actually trims along the sidewalks, guardrails, and mows the entire area. And we're trying to schedule it out, which is somewhat difficult to have 119 mowed about every 3 to 4 weeks between our contractor and theirs.
Yeah, it looks good. So we go basically from the bridge to the interstate, the bridge over 70 or the light down to.
We go to the light, the intersection just north of the bridge. Yep. James, is that James Walker? I think. So we go right there, and we actually mow down James Walker to just under the bridge right there along 70 to try to keep that entire interchange looking good. The big part of that's picking up trash, I'll be honest with you. So.
Did you maintain 3 cemeteries? What was the third one?
Community cemetery. We off on Holt Street.
Okay.
We actually maintain that one.
That one, does that one qualify for the markings as well?
It does not. No. we don't have information on the graves out there. So putting the markings out there, the markings that we put out are actually on surveying stobs that have already been placed around like Oakwood. We're actually putting the markers on there to delineate the sections and row numbers and that kind of
So
thing.
if you knew where they were, then you would be able to, it would qualify. at that
If
point.
it was laid out that way, it could be added.
We probably have to speak with the city manager. Community cemetery, we don't actually own it. We maintain it, but it's owned by a church. So
I think that church has all the records for that cemetery too. So.
So we're just, like you said, just keep maintaining it and keeping the grass beautification.
We do, yeah. You're very aware, of course, we put the fence up around
right.
there.
Looks
And
good, thank you. Mhm.
we are under that maintenance contract, fertilizing, doing all that. Of course, our staff continues to mow and trim all that. Yep. For next year, I am requesting a seasonal groundskeeper. We have two. We'd really appreciate a third in that respect. For the ensuing years, 26, 27, 27, 28. So fiscal year 26, I am asking for a maintenance technician. That's a new position. They would be housed in our street maintenance division. Fiscal year 27, equipment operator 1. Those two positions in street maintenance would focus more on stormwater. So our stormwater program is one that we split a lot of our street maintenance crews time working on stormwater items. In fact, they're out there working today on one. And 27 as well, fleet maintenance mechanic.
Side question. We have a stormwater program that we're regularly looking through all of our stormwater tubes, tunnels, things along that line, right?
Yep. So, of course, our street maintenance guys do that more toward late fall, early winter. We pull some of our crews in from the beautification division to help with going through the system, looking at catch basins, cleaning them out, pipe, that kind of thing.
How's everything looking around town? I know, yeah, you okay? Never mind.
I'd love to tell you, it's challenging. I'll be honest with you. The system we're working on today, we're having to completely replace the pipe under the road because the pipe it just could not be salvaged anymore. Had we kept up maintaining, cleaning out the pipe, camera the pipe, that kind of thing through the years, we would have caught some of the issues that started probably years ago that was causing separation in the pipe, root intrusion, that type of thing. Coming in a little bit later, like we are now, we're at that point where the system, not the entire system, mind you, but a lot of the older system, like around the downtown area, north and south of downtown, we're talking systems 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. The pipes have just separated and so much, of the pipe has soil in it. It's just clogged up where it's not functioning anymore. So we're finding those kind of things and correcting them.
Sounds like the maintenance tech is going to help out with that also. And
yeah,
we got to find out what we got to find out.
So our maintenance tech and that equipment operator, that would be their focus. Those two folks would go around, 52 weeks a year, and that's what they would be doing, along with ditch lines and driveway pipes and that type of thing. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Some of the capital improvement projects. So one of the areas that I'm looking at are the signal lights on Clay Street that we maintain. Want to review those signal lights and the control boxes if I can this year, and possibly start replacing those if needed next year. Got some discussion around that. So that you'll notice building 2 expansion, the public works entryway, chief mechanic, the new equipment shed, the entryway construction. So those next 5 items, those were all encompassed in Franz's presentation from the last couple weeks. So items 2 and 3, if you'll notice, those are design funds. So that's $55,000 for design funds to start that process. And then in fiscal year 26, the actual construction of those items that we discussed, the equipment shed, the entryway office renovation, and in addition to building number 2 would take place that point. A new tractor we're asking for would be one that we would use primarily for mowing. We have one tractor now that we're kind of splitting a lot of duties with it, taking implements on and off, and having a dedicated tractor for mowing would definitely help us with a more efficient operation. Swap loader, we actually have a swap loader now. If you're not aware of a swap loader, you basically have a chassis and you can put different bodies on it. Dump bodies, you can put plows on it. We run a leaf vac on the swap loader we have now, a dump body, and the brine sprayer. We run the brine sprayer on the back of it. Looking out to fiscal year 27, design on South 3rd Street. I don't know if we're going to eventually combine those, but it's South 3rd Street design sidewalk right near the Briarwood subdivision intersection there.
Real quick, going back to the first line item, the signal light, you mentioned on Clay Street. Does this mean that maybe the signal at 3rd and Clay will be a little bit easier for pedestrians to see what's going on with it? Do you know what I mean by that? Because the way it's situated in the center, if you're standing on the corner, because the way I guess the case around the light itself, it's hard to see, especially in daylight, if it's green, yellow, or red to know what oncoming traffic may be doing.
That could be a possibility for that. There is a challenge at that intersection as well as far as the location of that signal light. I can tell you for $50,000, I had thought about actually having mast arms put in as an option, which would make it more pedestrian friendly to see. But that $50,000 would not touch that. It'd be very expensive. So we're kind of looking at that this year to see what we're able to do into next year. And given the limited space at the right of way and all, we just have to look at that and see what we're able to do. Yeah.
Have you looked at the possibility of a 3-way stop as opposed to a free flow with a traffic light?
There at 3rd and Clay?
No, I'm speaking about 5th and Clay.
Oh, 5th? Actually, I have not at 5th and Clay.
Well, that seems to be a bad intersection going down that hill, and actually coming out of Clay Street sometimes can be a challenge going left or right.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I don't know whether it would back up to 70 and create problems with that light or not, but that's a bad intersection. There's a lot of close calls with people forcing out of Clay and the pedestrians there trying to get across from the Whites to downtown. It's a tough intersection there. We
And I
took
agree.
that light out years ago. It used to be a traffic light there.
Yeah. And I do agree with you. That's a intersection that seems to be always busy if you're on Clay trying to turn either left or right on there.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer would be, but it just seems that it's going to get worse.
Mm-hmm. Might have to revisit another
Traffic
signal
light.
there.
Yeah, and you'd have to coordinate it with 70 so you don't back traffic up when 70's flowing or 5th Street's flowing,
Yep.
flowing through 70. But that is a problem. I don't know whether you need to do some counting or whatever, but that may be something to put on the books for the future.
Okay. We'll look at that.
We also redesigned that, or had several designs for that whole strip through there that we looked at, but and that continued to be a problem, the pedestrian and traffic mix there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll look at that. Some of the capital requests continuing, less than 25,000. New salt spreader, sand spreader for one of our new trucks, along with a plow, and we're going to replace the floor in our break room at Public Works. And requesting that $11,600 increase is primarily for traffic control devices and also 3 new supervisor desks. So that takes in the majority of that $11,600. Now I'll hand this over to Eduardo for his presentation. Sorry, Eduardo, I got behind here.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Temp and Council. My name is Eduardo Mendoza, and like we were saying, I'm the Building Maintenance Coordinator. I am a one-man department that coordinates maintenance and repairs for 20 facilities, and I do work with all 13 departments. Here's a small list of the highlights for this fiscal year. I also want to inform you that I do help departments with scoping projects, bidding process, the bidding contracts, contractors, executing contracts and purchase orders, just behind the scenes. Again, like I said, here's a list. We replaced a 20-year-old rooftop unit at the library. That's one of the things we did. We also installed the exhaust fan and gable fans at the Public Works. Another thing I helped work with was the MAC roof project. That's still currently going on, and the old rec floor project. So our goals for fiscal year 2026 is going to be continue internal services division for all city staff, replace the library roof, replacing the floor at Public Works break room, and continue with roof inspections and repairs. I'm also working on upgrading light fixtures throughout all the buildings to LED and increase facility cleaning procedures. We're currently requesting a new position for a maintenance technician for the fiscal year 2027 that will be reporting to the building maintenance coordinator. Capital improvements are for the fiscal year 2026, the library replacement of the roof. For fiscal year 27, replacing the HVAC unit at the library. And then for fiscal year 2028 is replacing another additional unit at the library and one here at City Hall. All right, thank you.
Much, Mr. Fester. All right.
There's no, I don't know what kind of units there are. There's no inherent benefit in replacing the air conditioning units at the same time you do the roof at the library.
That would help out because the units currently are 20 years old. But with the cost of the roof, we want to stage them out. So we got 3 have been replaced and we got 3 more to replace.
That's $20,000 each year for the 2 air conditioning units.
Mhm.
Wouldn't be prudent to just move those all into one package and do them at the same time. Would that save money overall, or?
The only savings would be just a crane. Sorry. Just getting a crane up there because it is a 2-story building. So that's the only benefit, I guess.
Would you have the crane there anyway when you were doing a roof?
That's something we can explore, I guess. Get
I
3
didn't
units
know.
that are left.
I don't know. It'll be, if he could coordinate it, if it could be coordinated, it would work, but 2 different companies, so it could be 2 different cranes as well too. So, but it is something we can look into. In a perfect world, we like to replace HVAC units before we replace the roof, but we are reaching a point where this needs to be done, and we're also trying to be judicious in limited resources for the entire city. So that's one reason why it's spread out, but we can look at what you're saying as well. So.
Well, that's what I thought. I mean, you put a new roof on the next year, you're gonna be up there putting an air conditioning unit on. So, okay.
I like to
curious.
just mention, these are actually on a curve, and the current curve now is enough height to replace the roof, and it's not going to affect whether we replace the units or not.
Okay, good.
So just throw that out there.
All right. So our sanitation division, our supervisor there is Leon Eakes, and Glenn Duncan, our crew leader. So some statistics from 23-24, and this is taken from annual solid waste materials report that I complete for Mebane each year. So just to give you a little idea of how much Mebane is growing as far as sanitation services, just over 6,100 tons collected last year, 5,500 the previous year, a little over 1,000 tons of recycling material. It's up from 916 from the previous year, almost 2,500 tons of yard waste collected, up from almost 1,800. And households served, just over 6,400, up from just over 6,100. So you can see we're growing as a city. We're producing more, recycling, trash, yard waste. So we're keeping up with that right now. So we're good. We're fortunate for that. Loose leaf collection, since that is ongoing at the time that this PowerPoint was produced, we've since completed 10 complete cycles around Mebane. We've collected 263 truckloads of leaves and an estimated 920 tons of leaves. And we've taken all that to farmers and whoever would accept it for free. So no disposal costs associated with that. So our department goals always maintain the high current level of service in the city with 300 to 400 new front doors each year. We're looking at a population growth of 750 to 1,000 new residents coming into Mebane. That definitely impacts our sanitation division. We are in the process of updating. It's pretty much a continual update of our boundary maps for garbage and recycling collection. Every time a new neighborhood, new house comes online, we're updating our maps. And we're reviewing our garbage routes now, making adjustments to ensure same day collection. We're looking at the Monday and Thursday routes, which is our biggest routes right now. Personnel requests, none for next year. Fiscal year 26, I am asking for a new sanitation equipment operator. There again, it's that capacity factor of equipment and staff. We will need a new operator to help us out with the residential collection. And looking ahead to capital improvement projects, knuckle boom truck. We're requesting that for next year. That will actually be a new truck to the fleet, not a replacement. We will look to replace in the following year, fiscal year 26, 2 new leaf vacuum trucks to replace. One would be a replacement, one is a new truck. The sanitation transfer facility feasibility study was actually $50,000. That would impact fiscal year 27, along with requesting a rear load garbage truck and another knuckle boom truck, and that would be a replacement. And that is it for me. Do you have any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Fran, you
Mayor Pro Tem and councilors, friends coming to the podium, I just wanted to mention this next project is one that I understand has been a long-term ongoing problem with the building. And we wanted to bring it forward because of the cost involved and secondly, because of potential disruption. But it is one of those situations that's been around for a long time, and we certainly want to make sure that we're maintaining our existing facilities as best we can. So that's why I bring this forward today. So I'll turn over to Franz.
this looks a little threatening.
Well, I like support and I like segues. So thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Bradley and other council members. Yes, it's been going on for a while. The issues that we're having are backups in the service lines. And it's restricted to the new restrooms and the front restrooms. And those lead to potential overflows. We've had one overflow that may or may not have been directly related to that affected this council chambers. The causes are that we have sags in the plumbing line in these public restrooms and in the old cast iron line that is actually out in this hallway right here and then runs out to Wilson Street. There's a gang of connections out in this hallway, and where the plastic line joins up with a cast iron line, it's offset, and it's causes build up and issues from there, lines being stopped up and whatnot. And there's some flat areas along the service lines, and we found paper towels in the service lines with our investigations. There is a preventative maintenance that goes on. Kyle's folks come up here twice a week, always on a Friday before the weekend, to make sure that we have a free and clear line if somebody came in and there was an issue that it didn't happen over the weekend, which is what happened with the council chambers. They do that inspection is actually done by video. And then at least once a month he jets it, and then if he sees a problem, then he brings a jetter up here and takes care of it at that time. So we've talked about different types of solutions and whatnot. But at the end, we believe that a long-term solution is needed, and that would mean to take our public restrooms and kitchen off the cast iron line, cap it, and reinstall the plumbing lines, and install a new 6-inch waste line down the hallway, out to the parking lot, and up to Washington Street.
Well, and cast iron, that deteriorates from the inside out anyway. And how old, I mean, cast iron, that's old. Sorry. I mean, I'm assuming that these existing cast iron lines are,
They're in pretty bad shape, yes.
Yeah.
It's
Original to the building.
it's original to the building, and it is, the inside of that line is not smooth. I mean, it is
right.
just ripples and.
So we're
yeah.
dealing with a time bomb on
Yeah,
that.
when we do our jetting, I mean, we're pulling out tons of rust and stuff along with whatever else comes out. So, I mean, every time we come in there, we're pulling a little bit of that line out as we go.
Okay.
You can't slit sleeve line that small?
Well,
He has looked at that, it's priced it, and what was the price?
I don't recall exactly, but it's somewhere in 60 to 80,000 just to go in this section, but that doesn't completely solve the problem.
Right.
We still have issues with sags on the PVC line, and then where that PVC connection to the cast connection is, that section has dropped. So we've got a lip there where paper and other stuff is catching and causing a dam. That's backing up the water, causing a blockage.
We won't know until the floor is dug up, but it could be that line has not dropped. It could be that line never graded out correctly with the existing line, and the reason it's lower is when it was being built and constructed, it didn't work out, and rather than dig up the other line, it was left as is. So there are places where the line is sagging, but the pinch point, for lack of a better term, where seems to be a lot of things that are getting caught and causing backups from their research. It very well could be that the grade never allowed the lines to actually line up as they were supposed to.
But either way, you don't necessarily want PVC and cast iron connected to each other long term, even if you're slip lining it, right?
Well, I mean, it is all of the above.
I know it
scenario.
happens,
Yeah,
but
it's all of the above scenario. And if we can avoid that cast iron line because of the things that Kyle mentioned, and the fact that it also has a bag and a belly in it, a sag in it. And Mr. Mitchell, he has been with us. We've met up here at least 5 to 10 times. We've met up here with plumbers. We met up here with a mechanical plumbing engineer, and he was actually a part of the solution, and our architects. So it's been thoroughly looked at and investigated.
Well, this is the old apparel plumbing you're talking about, I guess, from the original apparel building.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
City didn't build it.
No, and like Mr. Mitchell said, the thought of trying to make sure it all worked through that one connection, I don't know, maybe that was some of the problem, trying to force that to work. So when we looked at, well, what do we do? The line out back is very shallow. So what we'd like to do is pick up some grade when we put this new plumbing line in. And we will with it going out the hallway and then down to Washington Street. So that'll help in the future if that's what council decides to do. What you see on the left is just a part of the plans. There's a full set of plans that have been drawn to address this item with the help of Gary Smith, our plumbing engineer. And the items on the right talk about what does it require? Well, it requires some demolition, cutting concrete. We plan to reuse all the fixtures, and they'll be stored, and we'll bring them back in and reinstall them. We'll reinstall walls that were taken down, reinstall floors. We talked about out here potentially going back with a carpet that you see leading in with the door, the carpet squares, after the concrete is put back down in the channel, and just creating that carpet and extending it to the doors to the east. Steps to date, we've all been involved from a staff standpoint on trying to figure out what the issues are and come up with the solutions. We've met with contractors about what is this going to cost? And they have indicated that we probably need a budget of about $200,000 to take care of something we don't know about already. The actual work, we think is potentially closer to 150, but we need a little bit wider contingency, we think, to carry out this project. Decision to be made is, do we continue with the maintenance that we're doing? I mean, Kyle's folks do a great job in trying to catch any problems and limit the amount of odors that we do have. We're fund the recommended work. If it's funded, then we will go out to bid for those improvements. Once the work's awarded, we think that work would take about a month. It may be longer than that, but we're trying to split in between council meetings, if that's possible. We've talked about that a lot too, internally, and what it means to staff here. We've even met with Cliff. He doesn't have to come up here, but we met with Cliff to talk about, do the remaining restrooms, will they take care of the personnel that is here? And by code, it would. And I don't think I'm missing anything, but I'll let any of these other folks
And
been involved
the other
chime in.
the other restrooms use another sanitary line, or?
They have their own plumbing that goes straight out to Wilson Street.
Okay.
So we do envision if this project goes, that it could impact one council meeting, probably impact 2 planning board meetings. As city engineer mentioned, building code could allow employees to stay here at the same time with the other restrooms. But even if we tried to use those restrooms, we don't think a council meeting or planning board meeting would be an appropriate location during a construction zone, because they'd be walking down that very hall, even if there was plywood put on top of it. There's safety concerns, but probably would impact 1 or 2 planning board meetings or other advisory board meetings that meet here, and possibly 1 council meeting. So, and we would envision, if Mr. White wants to speak on it, moving that to the MAC, I guess, those meetings.
Yes, and also in terms of staff impact as well, it might be some employees could work remotely for some time period as well until we get the work done.
I'd worry less about the council meetings than I would the day-to-day operational disruption. We can have the council meetings at MAC or anywhere, as large rooms in the city, but, I would worry more about timing it where it's the least damaging to the operational staff and the public.
I do
Yeah, we've
think,
talked about some work occurring on Saturday or in the evenings.
I do think this is important. I mean, we don't need to be, yeah, I appreciate the diligence and the twice a week inspections and cleaning the lines once a month and the maintenance that's getting us to this point. But, you know, we've already had one overflow where we've had to redo the carpet. I'm sure that was quite a costly repair. And we're still, you know, down one restroom out here in the front as a result too. So I think this is prudent and necessary for sure.
Thank you very much. Anything, any other questions for this healthy-looking group?
Not asking for a vote, but just consensus from the council that we can move forward. Again, it's now set for the FY '26 budget, which you vote on, but I just want some indication of the green light, if you will, of what you're thinking in terms of this project.
Needs to be
I
done.
think it's a no-brainer. You gotta take care of the facility.
Absolutely.
This is our host facility for the town. We gotta move forward with fixing it.
I always say plumbing will break your heart as far as cost. It's just, it's one of those things, but it's so crucial.
In fact, if I would suggest that if you can, get the planning done and the timing correct and the timing works out the best, I'd bring forward a budget amendment rather than waiting. I'd do it when you can, that serves the easiest route. Sometimes the summer council meetings, summer staffing is down. If that's a possibility, I'd look at bringing a budget amendment rather than waiting until budget time for approval. Just my opinion. I don't know how everybody else feels.
Any other risk? Anything? It sounds like we're scoping the pipes pretty well. It sounds like we got a pretty good handle on this sanitary line. Any other risks that we're aware of here in this building?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, we're going back and making sure we got some floor drains installed too, but I'll open that up for
On
everybody
the
else.
project, as far as risk, and Fran's talked about contingency, you know, the concern is when you start opening up the floor, when you go out under the porch, what do we find? We have tried to take into account all of those factors and envision everything, but until you dig through a concrete floor, you don't know exactly what you're gonna find. So that is a legitimate question and a risk we've identified going that route. We do feel pretty good about the parking lot, checking that out where we hope to not run into things there as well. But again, the biggest risk we identify is what are we gonna find under the hallway? What are we gonna find under the walkway that you come in on?
Thank you for bringing that up, because Kyle and Spokes, we went out there and marked what lines were known and whatnot. And it is a gravity line. It can't go up and under and whatnot. Those things would have to be moved, but it looks like we can get under the storm drain and be able to get out to Washington Street.
And again, I hate to reiterate. So I mean, we've scoped all the other lines in the building, and we're as confident as we can be
Yes.
that we're good.
and,
Okay.
I mean, the two rear restrooms are
Yeah.
similar. I mean, they have cast iron lines, but they're not in nearly the condition that this main line is in. But with this improvement, we can actually tie into the line in the parking lot with those moving forward if need be.
Good to know.
I guess my biggest thing is, yeah, if there's anything else that's gonna fail, I'm not that I want to pile it on, but let's do it right. Let's do it the first time. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Richard, you want to proceed with Fire Chief Wellens, or you want to take a break now, or?
Can we do that now?
5 minutes to get everything out. We can do it now. It's up to you.
I'd rather do that than interrupt.
Yes, let's do that.
Somebody want to flow. So we'll take a break and let's see, we'll come back at 2:30. Is that good?
Sounds great.
And And I mean, 2:30.
You ready? Yeah. Uh-huh. This side or this side? Yeah. Yeah. Giving it to
Well, you know, they're, in the short runs.
I can go over there with y'all and see what they think. I never go over there. Usually those buildings, you know, they're a hub, so they never, they never will get rid of them. Get faces washed. I think I've seen it, but I haven't seen their mind. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of
Appreciate the question.
Department still our challenge. All right, get with me. Go over there and look at it. And I can reach out to.
Plumbing
Yeah.
See.
Yeah. You know, Sydney's trying to fight her plumbing off a little bit at a time.
Her house. But yeah, let's check it out and see, at least the outside. Yeah, but still parking, same problem. Yeah. Keep it the So what? Appreciate it. Started that conversation.
All right, thank you. Chief Wellens. Good to see you.
Already? All right.
I think so.
Well, it's my pleasure to stand here today and discuss our 2025-26 budget requests. The image you're looking at now is our current organizational chart. Basically shows you how we lay out between the three shifts, battalion A, B, and C, our life safety educator, our fire marshal's division, and then our volunteer staffing. Some of the highlights that we had for 24-25, we received engine 2 and engine 3, and we appreciate that very much. They were much needed apparatus, and they will serve the city and its citizens well. So thank you for that. We completed a lieutenant's assessment, implementing 1 additional lieutenant per shift that y'all approved for us last year as well. We onboarded 7 new volunteers, which was tremendous year for us. That was really good for us. We sent 2 crews to Western North Carolina. We implemented several new policies and SOGs. Again, we received our thermal imaging cameras and our RIT packs. So we thank you for that as well. We also split the rescue capabilities to allow basically 2 service trucks on both sides of our districts. So what I mean by that is we look at our district in a north-south tradition. It gives us the capabilities of having rescue capabilities on both sides of the railroad tracks. And there will be some additional information that I'll share with you shortly that will utilize that as well. We added 1 additional part-time firefighter to our daily staffing. So basically, we have 10 full-time staff in a day. The part-timer gave us an 11th person a day, fully staffed. As you can see, our training hours, we conducted a little over 10,000 hours of training, 52 new certifications, 13 new instructors, 1 new associate's degree, and 1 employee that completed her master's degree. Some of our yearly highlights continued. If you'll see, our average response time was 5 minutes and 23 seconds. We had an average of 9 personnel on scene. Just shy of 3,500 calls was our total, which was right at a 5% increase from the year past. The breakdown as far as EMS and fire is there as well for you to see. And we responded to 23 building fires last year. The one thing that I do want to point out to you is, if I can get this thing to work, is this box right here, the overlapping calls. So basically that's just a little shy of a third of our responses. And what I mean by that is the overlapping calls is if we are dispatched to a call right now, while that unit is being either en route, on scene of the first call, or having additional calls being dispatched. The reason that is important is when we talk about minimum staffing, which we'll break down once we get to the graph here in the future. Some days we're only having 2 units available. So just we'll circle back to that. Goals for 25-26, continue to update our policies and SOGs, continue to build our staffing restructuring, evaluate our response to make sure we're having effective deployments and emergency mitigations, and then to build out a training program to exceed the normal state standards and expand the capabilities that we can respond to. Personnel requests for 25-26. I am requesting 3 additional full-time firefighters. The assistant chief of operations you see in the bottom, that would basically, that's a reclass, is the reason you see the zeros there. As you know, our training officer retired this year. We would like to reclass that position into the assistant chief's position. Anticipated 26-27 and 27-28. The first one you see, the 26-27, will be a reclassification for our 3 shift captains to become battalion chiefs. 27-28 would be 6 additional firefighters. 27-28 would be an additional fire inspector. The 6 firefighters you see below in the 27-28, we think that that would be a good number to start with the incoming growth that we have that's coming. That's why we put that in 27-28.
I'm guessing we have capacity at the stations right now, and also they will probably swap over to the new stations.
Yeah, so, yeah, and I'll go ahead and address that
Okay.
now, since you brought that up. So that would be a portion of the staffing for that. Whenever that station comes, we would like to go ahead and have some of that staffing here. Instead of trying to bring that many people in that are not familiar with our department, if we can have them a little bit in advance, then they'll know our policies, our operating, how we do things. I think it'd be a smoother transition. So.
If you built a new station, how long would that staffing level that you've already indicated carry forward with the new station? How immediate would it be to add additional personnel for that station?
By adding a new station?
Say we put in Station 4 and you consistent with the years you asked for those paid people, additional people. How long could that station operate without adding additional personnel to that? Is that one engine company or?
Yes, the request for the new station would be for a new engine company, basically, in 27, 28. Yes. So we could make that work for an engine company. Yep.
So, I mean, if we built a new station and economy went sour or whatever, you could staff that new station with that level of personnel with one engine company?
Not with 6, no. Not with 6.
Even with the 3 you're hiring now?
Correct. And the reason, and I'll go into that right now. So if you look at the current staffing on the left-hand side, what you see there is full-time staffing. Full-time staffing currently is 10 firefighters a day with 1 part-timer. As you all know, part-time employees, they work fire departments and other places, so it's not guaranteed. Our minimum staffing is 8 firefighters a day. When we go to 8 firefighters a day, that takes us down to 2 companies that can respond. The request for the 1 firefighter this current year would put our minimum staffing at 9, which would keep us at 3 companies a day. So the 6 firefighters in 27, 28, even though we would ask for that request, obviously we have to have a minimum staffing. So it would not meet that goal of having a 4th company in position, if that makes sense. The proposed staffing that you see on your right-hand side would reflect 11 full-time firefighters a day, and then that 1 part-timer. So essentially, if we are fully staffed with a part-timer, we would have 12 firefighters a day. That's basically your 4 companies. But if we look at it as an aspect of running down to a minimum, it would be 3 companies. And with our, basically 1/3 of our dispatches being right behind one another, with 2 companies tied up, we would still have 1/3 available. That's what our requested organizational chart would look like. If you'll see the red highlight there, that would be the operations assistant chief, which would take care of operations and oversee the paid staff and coordinate the training along with those shifts. Capital improvement projects for 25, 26. The plumb vent exhaust systems at Station 2 and Station 3. We are asking for those to be replaced, same as we discussed last year. The current system we do have an exhaust system in those stations. However, it still has to bring it up by your face before it's brought into the system. And it's never actually really removed from the building. It just runs through the filter and then puts the supposed clean air back into the building. A plumb vent system would hook directly to the tailpipes of those trucks. And when that truck starts or that system is turned on, then it would evacuate the exhaust completely outside of the building. It runs it through a filtration system and disperses it outside of the building. The 26, 27, you see that 2.7 million there, replacement for our current ladder truck. Our current ladder truck is approaching 23 years of age. We are to the point where we are continuously having to do some maintenance on that. The request that we are looking at and asking for would be for that truck to be replaced with a different style ladder truck from what you've seen today. Long story short, we operate a mid-mount platform truck. It is one single piece of apparatus. A tiller truck would be much different. This tiller would give us an option to maneuver in a lot tighter spaces than we currently are. It would also allow us to expand our capabilities as far as a rescue truck. It has much more options as far as storage on it. It would also allow us to extend the life of our current rescue truck. It is not to replace our rescue truck, it is to extend the life of it. We feel that if this option is available, we could probably extend the life of that truck probably by 7, maybe 8, 9 years. Also, it would save roughly $1.2 to $1.5 million in purchasing a new rescue truck in the next few years, which is a very high likely if we continue to run it the way we are running it.
Profoundly silly question. Learn about it. Take a look at the photos right now of the tiller engines. Our bays are large enough.
They are. We currently have, we've talked to some designers and we have some options that would fit in our current facilities right now. Yes. The other option that a tiller truck that gives us is, so if you look at it as two pieces, so it's like a tractor trailer, right? If you take the portion that drives the motor, the transmission, the front, the cab, if it needs to be replaced 10 years from now, that's the only portion you're replacing. You're not replacing the aerial portion. So it's a much more effective replacement cost as well. And then in 27, 28, you see the replacement engine for our current engine one, that puts that on a 10-year cycle. And then the administrative vehicle in 27, 28 as well.
Chief, before you go, you want to share with them what you shared with administration about cost of fire engines in 2020 and the cost in 2024? Because they're aware of that.
Yes, I think I shared this with y'all last year, and if I did not, apologize. Since 2019, apparatus, the price on apparatus and the build times have tremendously changed. There has been almost 100% increase in the cost of fire engines and about 105 to 110% increase in aerial apparatus. The build times on these things, where we used to could get one in a year to 18 months, maybe 2 years. Some of these manufacturers are pushing out 3 to 4 years. The tiller truck that we are looking at now, as far as spec, we could potentially, right now from our dealers saying 19 months to replace the current ladder truck we have with the same existing type of ladder truck. We're in excess of 2.5 years. Just to give you an idea where that's at.
Forgive me if you mentioned this, but with the tiller truck, is this something that we would be going ahead and ordering now because of the length of time that it takes and it's a budget impact for next fiscal year? I mean, I know that our existing ladder truck is young.
I would have to defer that to the manager for that.
Yeah, I'd say we're working now through our CIP and financing, trying to figure out the timing of these projects. So that's something we're still looking at the moment, about the timing.
Because how old is our current ladder truck?
It's 23 years old.
I know in the past, you have to budget the truck, put the truck in the budget the year that you say you're going to buy it or order it. But even if you did that with the recognition that there's $2.5 million in the budget that you're actually not going to spend this year, of course, the truck's not going to be in for 2 years. With the extended lead times, I think that's something we need to study. I think Chuck's comments on the dump trucks very similar. You know, they're not going to get any shorter on lead time, I don't imagine either. But the fire service, from the fire service perspective, the lead times may get worse, especially with some of the trade issues that are going on with steel. Is that an option we're looking at, John?
Yes, that is one consideration. Yes.
Good question, Katie.
Capital requests. What you see before you there would be a extrication equipment, jaws of life, Hearst equipment that would give us finish out our complement to where, when we spoke earlier about having those services on both sides, north and south, this would be the last part that would complete that for us. Requested operating expenditures, the varied services, the annual wellness check, that is an increase there of 13,500. That is for a specific type of fitness, physical fitness duty that we would request this year. Investigations, you see the 3360 increase there. That's in reference to some additional investigative equipment and some additional PPE for them. So if I go out and buy a firefighter a structural firefighting helmet, we're basically looking at $400 a helmet for that. If I need to buy them a helmet, they're obviously not doing active firefighting. They're there after the fact. So it's a little bit cheaper option. So what we're looking at doing for them is changing up some of their PPE requirements, still meets the standards and does all that. We're just not having to buy them an additional set of structural firefighting gear for them to do their jobs. Projected revenues, permit fees, you see the same there. The Eflin Fire Department contract was an increase this year of $3,000. We were getting $9,000 a year. 24-25 received $12,000, and then 25-26 will receive $15,000 for that contracted service. The rental income, do need to make a correction on that one. It should say $5,400 for 24-25 and 25-26. So that's a mistake on my end, and I apologize for that. Our rural tax district projected for 25-26 is 591. So an increase of 7,372.
Are those fees based on population?
No, that's tax value, is my understanding. It's not based off population. False alarm fees. This is something that has been approved for quite some time now. So we've been running some numbers, and right now, false alarm fees. So if you have a false alarm in your house, it doesn't mean that the smoke detector went off doing its job. If you burnt some food in your house or a popcorn bag sets it off, if it's set off by smoke and it's doing its job, that is not a false alarm fee. What we're referencing here is if there's a faulty detector that, say, Joe Smith at 123 Sign Shop decides that he doesn't want to get fixed, and we continuously respond to it, it gives us a way to address that. We ran some preliminary numbers, and basically we're looking right at $7,500 is where we would be. And I am not hitting the right button.
You're talking specifically commercial, not residential.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
How many calls is that roughly?
As far as call numbers, I'm not sure. I can have that. I can pull that for you. That's not a problem, but I don't have that information in front of me right now.
I've definitely heard through the grapevine that is
Yeah.
a thorn in y'all's side.
Yeah, and like I said, it's the information that's there. If for future reference, it's the Code of Ordinances, Article 6, Chapter 6, Section 6. We'll have that information. And that is the end of the presentation. Any questions?
If we were to build Station 4, just for clarification, that the best place for the next station would be the western one out near Bucky's and the Curry development.
So we're looking at some different options right now. We're having some very early conversations trying to address that. I do believe that there's some density that will be there in the future that we still need to look at. But at this point right now, I would have to defer anything else to the city manager, but we are having some early conversations.
Creative question, I guess. What will we be able to do to mitigate the response time with the growth there on the west side in between getting a station?
As far as our options?
Yeah.
So to be honest with you, we're working on a couple options right now that when we have that information, I'm sure we'll be happy to share with you. We're in within the 5 mile range, so we're meeting the 5 mile need, but we're trying to pull some of that data together now.
The overlapping calls, the high EMT calls. It's just
Yes.
I'm curious if there's anything
Yeah,
out of the box thinking.
One of the possible options, like I said, we're still in very early discussions of it, but we'd be having some additional companies in our current stations to address those concerns.
Even, well, your scope of coverage is going to change. There's a lot of difference between running 7 false alarms a week in that industrial park from your 2 stations that are 7 or 8 minute response times and running 25 or 30 calls between Bucky's and Curry Development that are 8 or 9 minutes. That's going to
Yeah.
dramatically change your average response time, which is going could affect your scope of coverage. Is that not?
Yeah, all right. So my gut and from my experience, that tells me that's a very highly possible or possibility. Obviously, we don't have the data to collect to show that, but yeah, gut tells you that'd be correct.
Any other questions for Chief Wells?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Kyle, you're up. Not gonna bring all your buddies up with you this time?
Yeah, if I could. I think I got it covered.
All right.
Well, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Here in front of you to present our 25-26 Public Utilities Maintenance and Administration budget. And this is our current org chart. We have a staff of 17 currently. With this staff, we're maintaining roughly 138 miles of water lines, 128 miles of gravity sewer, 21 large pump stations, 33 small ones, roughly 7,300 meters. I just pulled our current work orders from July 1 to today, and we processed roughly 8,700 work orders this year. Give you some highlights of our current year. I wish I could say that that first one was complete, but we're running just a little behind due to weather delays. So they're expecting that in April for the completion of the new 3rd Street elevated storage tank. We were able to purchase a new utility service truck and a new sewer vac truck, which thank you very much for that. That was a big help. And we're working with the IT department to bring our SCADA system in-house. Currently, we're hosting that out offsite on the cloud, and we're going to bring that in internal. We actually are starting the engineering now on our brick grant project, roughly 18,000 feet of sewer rehab. Going to be slip lining and lining manholes. And we had 3 employees attain additional collections and distribution certifications.
For the tank, we have 2 sizable developments over there, Governor's Green and Copperstone.
Mhm.
Are we going to be expecting any turbidity, anything out of the ordinary when we start bringing that online?
No.
Okay.
We're actually going to start Monday introducing water into it and testing. So, yeah. So it's going to be done slowly. No one should ever know the difference. We do it on our current tank now. Every couple of years, we drain our current tank, flush it, clean it, wash it out, turn it back online, and nobody's the wiser. So our goals for the upcoming year, we still have just a few of our old Neptune meters in the system. We've basically taken all the low-hanging fruit out, and these are ones we have to coordinate with the businesses for a shutdown in order to be replaced. So they're taking just a little bit longer than we originally anticipated, but we should get all those done relatively soon. We'd also like to install some additional pressure monitoring stations at some of our sewer pump stations around town that monitor our water pressure. That helps us on identifying early leaks and breaks. We'd like to have 3 more employees get some additional collections and distribution certifications. Another one obtain a CDL. We are going to be starting our unidirectional flushing program, something we have not done in really ever. We did a model back in 2012, but we have a new model that's getting ready to be delivered to us. And once that gets here, we're going to go out and start unidirectional flushing, which involves shutting certain valves off and opening hydrants up to flush water in one single way to help scour the lines and give us better water quality. We're looking to replace 3 more 2-port hydrants. And as part of our recent AIE study, we received a grant for that study. We've identified old galvanized lines that are in our system. We're going to go out and start replacing those. We've got 5 years. We got to get those taken care of. So we're going to start knocking those out. And we're looking to implement a fats, oil, and grease program at our sewer pump stations.
That just separated.
I'm sorry?
That oil grease, the 5% separate them.
We're actually looking at it's an enzyme that will dissolve and eat it up and send it on down the line. Currently, we have 6 that we have to go out and vac out once a month because they get a layer of grease built up on top of those stations, and it messes with the floats and the pressure transducers and gives you all kind of problems.
Could that be a public information opportunity right there, or?
Yes, we've already done one, but yes, it could be.
We'll talk afterwards.
We'll work with Kelly, but
Okay.
yeah, we've done one already with Kelly on different things. Personnel requests, I don't have any for this upcoming year. We do have a couple for the following years, maintenance techs and meter reader techs, along with utility location technician and a reclass for system mechanic. And our capital improvements, for this upcoming year, we're looking at a truck replacement. That truck is a 2002 crane truck that we use at our pump stations. It's got a 3,000-pound capacity crane on it now. We're looking at bringing in a 6,000-pound crane because a lot of our pumps now we can't even lift with that truck. And then the water treatment plant, that will be capital at the Mebane water treatment plant. Looking at 6 flocculator replacements, rehab of the bleach bulk tanks, and a new TOC analyzer. And for the 26-27, we have water meters we need to purchase. We have just a regular pickup truck replacement, some additional water plant capital, a new excavator, a 3rd pump for North Regional. That would be design and engineering for that, with the actual pump installation the following year. Jones Road outfall would be to eliminate the Arbor Creek pump station. We put an outfall in that would go from Old Hillsborough Road there at the Arbor Creek station down to Cambridge Park, tie that in. And looking at some inflow and infiltration projects. We are looking at a 10% increase in water and sewer rates, which will give us a pretty good, roughly $500,000 each for increase in revenues for next year. I'm looking at an increase of $100 in our fire flow testing fees and our modeling fees. Currently we outsource that out to a private firm, and this would help us break even now where the costs are starting to creep up a little bit on those models. And we're looking at introducing a hydrant meter monthly rental fee. We have a lot of people that check these hydrant meters out. They'll use them a lot the first few months, and then they'll just hold on to them forever and not bring them back, and they're not using them. So this will help do that. I've looked at other municipalities to see what they're doing, and $200 is right in the ballpark of what other folks are doing for a 3-inch hydrant meter.
That just measures the GPM goes through, or are they using it to measure how much they're using, or?
Measure usage, yes, sir. A lot of contractors use them on construction sites for bulk water. And we do have some increases in operating expenditures. Both of these are due to our services provided from Graham. Increase in monthly operating costs along with increase in population growth here in Mebane are driving both of those increases. And our projected revenues for the upcoming year, we have increase in water and sewer sales. Our system development fees looks like they're going down. Part of that's due to some projects we had in next fiscal year. Actually, we think they're going to be coming in on this current fiscal year. So I had to pull those back out, but we are looking a little bit of a decrease on those. And that's our crew right there in front of the new sewer vac truck that we got from you guys, and we appreciate that. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Anybody got any questions for Kyle? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Don, you're up.
Mayor Pro Tem Council, I appreciate your opportunity and willingness to speak. This is before you is the budget presentation for the Water Resource Recovery Facility. I guess it's fitting that I'm the last person at the list. So let me make sure I hit the right button here. So there's my staff. I've got 2 operators, 1 mechanic, 1 part-time operator, and my lab staff, and of course my lead operator. So highlights of this year, of course, we began the expansion project. That's a huge time thing for me, and that's probably the biggest thing that we've got going on. Is we're building the new facility. Of course, it's right next door to the existing facility. So what you see on the bottom left is probably a few months old now, or a month or so old now. They are moving quite pretty quickly, actually, with clearing the area, taking the trees out, and getting that area ready for the buildings and structures. They've also moved a lot of the mulch and the topsoil from behind the existing public works facility. So if you haven't been out there in a while, it looks very different than what it used to just a month or so ago. So goals for 2025, 26, of course, is to manage that construction project. And of course, we have to maintain compliance in the existing facility as they do that. So as we go forward, there'll be more and more intrusion by the contractor into the existing facility. So we'll have to work with the contractor to make sure that we maintain operations and all the things that you see there, optimize the energy and maintenance and all the things that you have to do to maintain compliance at the existing facility while they're building the new facility. So personnel requests, I don't have any for this year, but as you see, as the new plant will come online in 27 and 28, I would like to add operators for a second shift, as well as a part-time lab position as well. Because with the new plant comes new testing requirements, and also with the new plant, it's a larger plant, and it would require, not necessarily require, but it would be nice to staff the plant at least 2 shifts, because it is a bigger plant, has more facility, or it has more area to cover, and things that the operators would need to check. We wouldn't need to be staffed 24 hours a day until you get to the 5 million gallon a day flow. So we wouldn't have to be staffed overnight or the weekends, but we would be. It would be nice to be staffed at least the second shift, meaning the afternoon from say 4 p.m. to midnight. Because right now the staff is there mostly daytime. We do have a part-time guy that's there in the evenings a couple days a week. So
You guys operate like on call? Because I know that,
we
you
do.
know, emergencies don't always happen on your schedule.
Well, they never do.
Right.
It's always 2 o'clock in the morning when things
Mhm.
go wrong. But yeah, all of us are on call. I'm on call. So
So this would kind of help alleviate that too for like holidays or,
it
you know.
would, and it would be nice to have a person on site that
Mhm.
can respond as well. So because we are on call, but it does take some time to get to the site if there is something that happens. So capital improvements. What you see there is the for the city of Graham. We do have some capacity at their wastewater treatment plant. So the big increase you see there in the next year is Graham is looking for some options for their solids removal. So that's why there's a big increase in cost there. So there's the potential there for us to possibly partner with them because there is some regulations that are coming that may change the way we have to dispose of our solids. So there's some opportunity there. And then the other one there is just a rebuild of one of our screens that's approximately 10 to 15 years old that just needs rebuild. And just I'm requesting additional operating funds as the plant grows and the flows increase. My costs increase. That the first one you see there is for solids removal, and the second one there is actually for the what they call CANAF. I think you guys have heard of that. That's the biology or the biofilm that we use that we actually put in the process to help us maintain compliance. And it's actually they're actually little pieces of hibiscus plants that they actually make a little bale out of, and it just gives the organisms the more surface area to grow on. So those are the two requests that I have. That's my staff. I am missing 2 folks there. Stephen was sick that day, and Derek has been in a pretty he was in a pretty violent car accident, so he's actually out on some medical leave right now. So but that's my staff right there. That's actually the water leaves my plant every day. So it's dirty water coming in, clean water going out every day. So with that, any questions?
What are the grade manufactured buildings sitting out there now? Are they going to be a permanent part, or are they the
No, they're
trailers?
yeah, they're just the construction trailers that
Okay.
are out there.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, there is. It's a little almost a
Village.
small city.
Yeah.
But there was some advantage to the city to allow them to put that back there because they ended up clearing all that area of the mulch and topsoil, and that'll be eventually where the Public Works expands their sheds once that construction project is done. So it was a win-win for us.
It does. You're right, John. It does look a lot different out there now.
It certainly does. So.
Yeah. Any questions of John?
Yeah, just some clarification. Could you speak any more on the capital improvement, the City of Graham capital improvements?
Sure. Let me. So we pay right now. Mebane is, I think it's around 21 or 22% of we is what we pay Graham for some of their capacity. We send them some flow, and we will ultimately, once the Buc-ee's comes online, send them more flow. Some of their one of our pump stations is going to be rerouted to Graham, so we pay for some of their operations. That's what those funds are for.
That seems like a big delta though. So I guess
It is,
what am I
and-
missing here?
In that second year, they're 26. They are, it goes from 75. It's because their CIP budget for the 26 is a little over $2 million. So 20% of that or 21% of that is where that 465 comes from. So, and where the majority of that funds are is they're doing a biosolids program, a biosolids project that would help them and us potentially dispose of our solids. So that's their big cost there.
John covered it. It's similar to what you saw in Kyle's presentation on the water treatment plant. This slide relates to capital projects. So it can be kind of like a roller coaster up and down, but it's all related to specific projects. So we pay our percentage of operations, but we also have to pay our percentage of our capacity there. So that represents right now 21%. And as he described, the project they're proposing in fiscal year 25-26 is just a large, expensive project related to solid removals.
That's our 21%-ish. Okay.
Now, as they expand, our percentage probably will change and go down to a lower percentage because we didn't purchase additional capacity. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Wasn't that kind of trimmed down from what they originally were proposing?
I think that's a separate item, but we do, both Kyle and John view our involvement in that partnership as our ownership. So they are very conscious on these numbers. So.
Well, and remember, this is a different fund than general fund. It pays for, it's supposed to pay for itself, which comes out of water and sewer rates, but it's still a lot of money. Any other questions, John? Thank you for taking care of the end of the line. Take care. Richard, anything else?
No, again, want to say thank you to the management team and staff for the presentations. That concludes our presentation to council. Appreciate you all and your good questions you've asked us. We'll be back on April 10th with another workshop. And at that point, we'll let you know where we are in terms of budget development. We're working to get that together for April 10th.
So just to stabilize expectations, what you'll be coming back to us is kind of a correlation of this and what you anticipate is possibility for inclusion.
Yes, we'll take all the comments we've gotten during the workshop and our work on the budget, and we'll bring all that back to you in April.
All right. All right. Anything else come before the council? Again, thank you all very much for your work, and we'll stand adjourned.